My name's Aron Ralston. My parents are Donald and Larry Ralston of Englewood, Colorado. Whoever finds this, please make an attempt to get it to them. Be sure of it. I would appreciate it.
Aron Ralston has been carving his tombstone. Day 5, Bluejohn Canyon, Utah. His right arm crushed between an 800-pound boulder in the canyon wall. It's been dead for days. The flesh is rotten. He can smell it. Accidentally sliced into his thumb, the blade slid effortlessly into the decaying digit. Is it cake? It wasn't cake. He's out of water, out of food, out of options. He's tried everything. He chipped at the boulder with his cheap multi-tool until the blade bent. He rigged a pulley system with climbing rope and carabiners, and that rock didn't budge an inch. He even tried to amputate his arm with that dull knife, but he couldn't cut through the healthy flesh and surely wouldn't be able to cut through bones with these dollar store tools. So after 5 days of desperation, every conceivable option explored, he began carving his headstone. Aron Ralston, October 1975, April 2003. His epitaph, his grave marker, the only evidence he was ever here. Pulls out his video camera, turns it on, and begins recording, leaving intimate, heartfelt apologies, last words, and goodbyes to his parents, friends, and loved ones. His voice cracks. He stops recording. He prays out loud this time, screaming it into the canyon. God, please, I don't want to die here, please. God doesn't seem to be answering. Aron's hope is all but gone. His consciousness drifts. It's been happening more and more, these hazy, vision-like moments, dreams or hallucinations. He ain't really sure anymore. His mind slips away from the pain, the thirst, the suffocating reality of this slot canyon tomb. And suddenly, he's somewhere else. A room, warm, real, joyful. A little boy darts across the floor in front of him, giggling, chasing something, playing. And a man appears, familiar somehow, scooping the boy up, laughing, spinning him around. He hoists the child up into the air with his left arm and holds him with his right. Except his right arm, it's only half there. Amputated, like right below the elbow. The man turns toward Aron, and it's him. An older version, maybe 10 years from now, but it's Aron. Happy, alive, playing with a son he doesn't have yet, living a life he hasn't lived yet. The message is unmistakable. You aren't meant to die here. There's still work for you to do. Aron's eyes snap open. He's back in the canyon. The boulder's still crushing his arm. The sun burning overhead, but something has changed. He looks at his arm, purple, swollen, useless. And with crystal clarity, he says it out loud. I am not gonna die here. That's right. Aron is not going to die here, boys and girls. Maybe. I don't know. He seems in a pretty desperate situation. What would you do? What would you do if you were pinned? He's literally pinned in the middle of a canyon. No one knows where he's at. His arm is completely stuck. There's nothing he can do. This boulder is not going to budge. Have you ever found yourself in so desperate a moment? And if you have, how did you get out of it? And if you haven't, what would you do if you did? Leave in the comments below. Let us know. We want to know how you'd handle this situation, guys. We're going to get right back into this, but first, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share the channel, guys. Both of these things are free to do, by the way. We're not going to charge you anything, I promise. But I don't want to hold you up anymore, so we're going to jump right back into the story and find out what happened to Aron Ralston. Did he get out of that canyon, or did he in fact die right there with his arm pinned to a wall? Let's find out right now on the Southern Drawl Podcast. Aron Ralston was a thrill seeker, 27 years old, mechanical engineer by day, adventurer by nature. He'd climbed all of Colorado's 14,000-foot peaks solo in winter. He survived an avalanche. It pushed limits most people wouldn't even consider. But on April 26, 2003, Aron wasn't chasing a thrill. He's just going for a hike. Bluejohn Canyon in southeastern Utah, a narrow slot canyon in the middle of nowhere. A few hours in, a few hours out, no big deal. He didn't even tell anybody where he was going, didn't leave much of a note, didn't bring much gear. Just a cheap multi-tool, some water, a granola bar, and his video camera. It was supposed to be easy, but when you're alone in the wilderness, easy can turn into impossible in a matter of seconds. Aron parked his truck and biked toward the mouth of Bluejohn Canyon. Plan was simple: hike down the narrow slot, loop back around, and return to his truck by that evening. He dropped into the canyon, cool, quiet, beautiful. The walls were tight, sometimes only a few feet wide, forcing him to shimmy and climb his way through. At one point, he came to a narrow choke point. A large boulder was wedged between the canyon walls, creating a gap he could squeeze through. Aron grabbed the boulder with both hands and used it as a handhold to lower himself down into the tunnel. Suddenly, the boulder shifted. Not much, just a few inches, but that was just enough. It tumbled, and Aron tumbled with it. And in a split second, the 800-pound rock slammed into the canyon wall, pinning Aron's right forearm and wrist against the stone. He screamed. The pain was immediate, blinding. His arm was crushed, blood vessels severed, nerves screaming, bones grinding like cornmeal under the pressure of the stone vise. He tried to pull free, couldn't. Tried to lift the boulder, couldn't. Tried to shift it, even just an inch. Nothing. He was stuck, alone in a slot canyon with no one knowing where he was. Aron screamed at that boulder. He cussed it for all worth, as if he could shame it into moving or scare it into letting go. But after a while, he realized he was only cussing himself. How'd I get here? How'd I not tell anyone where I was going? What's dying gonna feel like? What will I look like when they find me? How will my family handle this? Aron closed his eyes and prayed. Canyon had claimed him as its property, and it had no intention of letting him go. For the next 127 hours, Aron Ralston would go through hell, physical agony, mental torment, spiritual warfare at levels most people don't even have an imagination for. And soon, the unthinkable would become Aron's only option for salvation. By day 5, Aron had done everything he could think of. He chipped at the boulder with his multi-tool until he'd all but destroyed the blade. He rigged a pulley system that he'd learned in a search and rescue class with his climbing gear, but he couldn't move that rock. Considered amputating his arm with his dull knife, but the blade only marked him superficially, barely even drew any blood. His water had run out on day 3, and he had since resorted to drinking his own urine. His arm turned purple, then black. The smell of rotten flesh filled the narrow canyon. He was dying, slowly, inevitably. So by day 5, Aron was accepting the inevitability of his situation, preparing himself for what he knew the next steps were for those unfortunate enough to face their demise in this sort of way. So Aron carved his tombstone, said his goodbyes on camera, prayed one last time, and then, exhausted, delirious, broken, he drifted into unconsciousness. That's when the vision came. A warm room, a little boy laughing, a man lifting him up with one good arm and one amputated one. The man was Aron, older, alive, and happy. The boy was his son, a child he hadn't met yet, a future he hadn't lived. And the message? Well, it was undeniable. You have to live. You have to do whatever is necessary. The story became a legend, a book, a movie, 127 hours starring James Franco. That's been praised for its brutal accuracy. Aron himself told the story dozens of times on Dateline, on interviews, speaking engagements. It's incredible to hear him tell it. He's described in vivid detail what it's like to break your own bones, to slice through your own flesh and muscle, to rip and tear away at tendons, to sever your own nerves, those spaghetti noodle fibers that sent fire searing up his arm, shoulder, and neck simply by touching them, to cut away parts of yourself to save the whole. Aron stumbled out of that canyon with one arm, no water, and 8 miles of brutal desert terrain between him and help. He rappelled down a 65-foot cliff with one hand, hiked through scorching heat, nearly bled out multiple times, but 6 hours later he ran into a family of hikers who called for a rescue helicopter. Aron Ralston survived. What? And here's what gets me. Aron says the amputation wasn't the hardest part. Not the hike out with one arm, not the pain he endured. The hardest part was deciding to do what had to be done. Once he made the decision, the rest was just survival. But that moment, making that decision, making that choice, that was everything. There's a verse in the Bible, I can't stop thinking about it. Jesus, he says in Matthew 5, if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to go into hell. Most people, like myself, we read that and we think it's hyperbole, exaggeration, to make a point. Symbolic. Yeah, okay, tell that to Aron Ralston. He lived it, literally. He had to cut off part of himself to save the rest. And that's not just a survival story. That's a spiritual truth. How many of us are trapped right now? Not by a boulder, by something just as crushing. An addiction, a toxic relationship, a sin we keep going back to even though we know it's killing us. And we've tried everything, hadn't we? We've chipped away at it. We've rigged systems of control. We've prayed about it. We've cried about it. We've screamed about it. God, help me, please. We promised we'd change. But we're still stuck. We're still stuck. Why? Because we haven't been willing to do the one thing that would actually set us free. Cut it off. Jesus isn't being dramatic when he says it. If your hand causes you to stumble, cut it off. He's being honest. Sometimes the things that's killing you is something you love, or it's something that feels like a part of you, or something that you can't imagine your life without. But if it's dragging you into hell, if it's rotting your soul, if it's keeping you trapped in a canyon with no way out, well, that's the rider of the black horse, famine of the soul, all that you want and nothing that you need. You have to let it go, even if it hurts, even if it costs you, even if it feels important, even if it feels impossible. Because losing a part of yourself is, well, it's better than losing all of yourself. Here's the other thing that gets me about Aron's story. He prayed, man. He prayed a lot. He screamed prayers into that canyon. And he prayed quietly for himself, for his family, for rescue, for strength. But for days, it seemed like God wasn't listening. But then, on day 5, when Aron had given up, when he'd carved his own tombstone and said goodbyes, when he realized he was truly powerless in the situation and nothing he could do was going to save him, that's when the vision came. A glimpse of his future, a son he hadn't met yet, a life he hadn't lived yet. And that vision, it gave him strength to do what needed to be done. God didn't remove the boulder. He didn't send a helicopter on day 1. He did not make it easy. But he gave Aron something better: hope, clarity, and the courage to make the impossible choice. Because sometimes God doesn't deliver us from the trial. He means for us to walk in the tribulation. In fact, he never promised to deliver us from it, but rather he gives us the strength to endure it, to walk boldly into the unthinkable, to cut away what is killing us so that we can live. So here's my question for you. What's trapping you right now? What's the thing you keep trying to manage, to control, minimize, when deep down you know you have to cut it off? Maybe it's a habit, maybe a relationship, a grudge, a pattern of thinking. Whatever it is, if it's keeping you from the life God has for you, it ain't worth holding on to. Aron Ralston had to give up his arm to save his life. What do you need to give up to save yours? The good news is, whatever it is, you don't have to face it alone. Aron had a vision that gave him hope. You have something better. You have a Savior who already made the ultimate sacrifice, so you don't have to die in your sin. Jesus didn't just cut off a hand. He gave his whole life. And because of that, you can be free. But you have to be willing to let go of what's trapping you, to cut it off. No more allowances. No more excuses. Because on the other side of that choice, there's a life waiting. There's a future you hadn't lived yet. A freedom you can't even imagine. Aron Ralston didn't die in that canyon. And my friend, you don't have to die in yours either. That's right, guys. You do not have to die in your canyon. There has been a way made for you. A Savior has already paid the way. Hopefully you don't have to cut off your arm somewhere to save your own life. But if you do find yourself in that situation, the Bible assures you it's okay, guys. It's okay. Now, obviously, let's hope that's a metaphorical for most of us, because goodness gracious, I cannot imagine going through what Aron Ralston went through. Can you imagine coming to the realization that you have to go through with this incredible thing? You have to do something that's going to literally change you physically, mentally, in every way. It's going to change you for the rest of your life. This isn't just going to take away your ability to use a hand. No, it's going to change a lot of the ways that you do things, the way you see the world. It did for Aron, at least. I hope it did for you. His story is so inspirational, guys. If you would, share the story. If you found anything about the story to be inspirational to you, share that with us in the comments, guys. We'd love to chat with you about that. It's amazing the strength God gives us in these times when we need it most, these desperate moments when the choice is literally life or death. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Southern Drawl podcast. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. It's free to do so, guys. Make sure you share with someone you think might enjoy this channel, because that's also free, guys, and that helps us out big time. Until next time, though, be free, be blessed. Peace. Blindly walking, I'm so lost. Gone for quite some time, forgetting all that I once loved. Feel like I'm dying. Hope is gone away. Fingers cold and numb. has been a soul.